Hello, everyone, and welcome to MeowMix, the Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steven,
My name is Jerry.
and we are back with our second draft profile. I probably won't keep count every time.
I hope
Maybe after
not.
like the third or fourth, I'll stop. But right now, we've only done another one. So this is our second. And we're talking about another, first one was a wide receiver, massive position of need. This next one, I feel like maybe a little less of a position of need, but still one where you want to have a young guy, a contributor, right? Who are we
Yeah,
talking about here?
we are talking about edge rusher Chop Robinson out of Penn State, Junior. 6'3", 254 pounds. Ran a 4.48 40-yard dash. I am not going to read the rest because none of us understand those.
What's his broad jump?
His broad jump is 10 feet 8 inches.
That's that feels like pretty good.
I'm assuming so. Okay. Now, here's another name I struggle to pronounce and will butcher. Demian Robinson was given his nickname Pork Chop at birth, but as he got older, he just shortened it to Chop. I mean, I don't blame him for that. Chop
Sure,
was a
better than
five.
pork.
Yeah,
You want to
definitely.
shorten it pork.
Chop was a 5-star recruit that ranked number 22 nationally overall coming out of high school. He ended up signing with Maryland, probably to eat some crab cakes because crab cakes of football is what Maryland does, but later transferred to Penn State and became 2023 first team All Big Ten and now enters the draft. So, do you want to read the stats? You're just shaking your
Yeah,
head, I feel
sure,
like.
sure. So 3 years in college, right? First year 2021, he had 2 sacks. 2022, 5 sacks. 2023, 9 sacks. So not the most sacky of guys, but uh, let's see. 18 hurries, 34 hurries, 9 hurries. 34 hurries in 2022, only 5 sacks. That's a
Yeah.
lot of hurries. It's a lot of hurries. His PFF grades off the charts. In 2021, 64.3. That's his lowest grade. 2022 and 2023, 90.6 and 90.8. That's what you like to see.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Now, I'll read the cons here. His
All right.
con,
Pros and cons. Pros and
pros and
cons. We always
cons.
start with the cons.
Always start with the cons. We want to end on a high note here. For as good as those PFF grades are, he really didn't get to the quarterback. His production was kind of low overall for some of his physical attributes. I mean, again, 22, he was ranked 22 in the nation.
Yeah.
So he
Coming
was
out of high school,
expect
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
coming out of high school, second edge rusher coming out of high school that year. I mean, you would expect a little bit more. Needs to work on his hand placement when he gets going.
Hmm.
He can kind of get pushed off with his hands. Needs to work on more diversity in his pass rush. We will get
Hmm.
into his pros, but besides his speed rush, he needs to work on something else. Whether it's a spin or something else,
Sure. Yeah.
club. Short strides cause him not to cover as much ground. Basically, this kind of leans into the aspect of him not getting to the quarterback as much. Is he doesn't have that long gait to get there quickly. He's very fast and very quick, but sometimes his steps are a little bit smaller than normal
Hmm.
pass rushers, and he takes a little bit longer to get to there.
Interesting. Well, his pros, his first step, quite fast, right?
Insanely fast.
Yeah. Uh, in college, you can get away with that kind of being your only trick if it's fast enough. In the pros, you need it more. But good to have that because, again, if you don't have that in college, you're not going to really develop that so much in the NFL. So having that coming into the NFL is great. Freakish athlete. Uh, I like drafting guys that have the tools and just haven't been able to put it all together. But you can obviously see the God given gifts, right? And it feels like he has that.
Yeah, he has God given. I mean,
Yeah. doesn't quit, high motor, relentless, dog.
Yeah, I mean he'll continue chasing after the play after it's passed him by. You've seen it many times. I've seen it many times where a play gets blown, like a guy's running, and all of a
Mhm.
sudden someone out of the blue just comes up behind him and tackles him or knocks the ball out. That's
Yeah,
the type of guy he is.
yeah, good. And then able to drop into coverage if needed. So we saw that with Burns quite a bit while he was here, dropping into coverage. Peppers dropped in the coverage all the time when he was with the Panthers, especially early on. Good skill to have.
Yeah. He reminds me a lot of Burns coming out of college, to be honest with you. That he had
I
that
was thinking that as we were reading the pros and cons, I was thinking about that.
that he has that very fast first step, but that's mostly what he has.
Yeah.
That he Burns did develop, and he got the spin move, he got the rip. I can't think of what it's
Yeah.
called, but he has a couple moves now in his arsenal, and that helps him out.
Yeah. But Burns, another guy that, it took him a while to actually get to the quarterback consistently. He
Mm-hmm.
would get close, he would have hurries, but actually getting sacks, I mean, he's only had one 10+ sack season.
Yeah. So
But we saw how much havoc he could create even without actually getting down the quarterback.
correct. I saw some comps to Micah Parsons, and I thought that was insane. I remember watching Micah Parsons when
Yeah.
we did that draft profile. I should have grabbed it. Micah Parsons was the best player in that draft, and we both, it was hands down easily understandable. So those
Yeah.
people, I don't see how you could compare him and Micah Parsons coming out of college and say, oh yeah, they're about the same. No, no.
I mean, I would maybe they're saying
His first step,
same types of skills,
eh,
but obviously Chop may not be to the level, but same kind of player. Maybe that's what they're talking about. I don't know. A versatile guy. I mean, Michael Parsons is an extremely versatile player. Like he gets to the quarterback, but he plays coverage very well.
oh yeah, he's a great player. Like,
Yeah. So I mean that could kind of be what they're thinking, I guess. But I'll have to go watch more tape on him. But I drafting an edge, especially one with a high ceiling, or one of our first two I would not be sad about it all.
no, I mean like you said, he has the God given gifts of being a great player. Now he hasn't put it all together, or at least in my opinion, he hasn't put it together to be.
I mean, the numbers I think say that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think he can be. I think it's going to go back to coaching. The good thing is, from everything I've read, he's a good quality guy, a high motor guy. I know that's like the common phrase, but he's a guy that's not going to quit on a play. And that says something to me that maybe that he was willing to put in the work to do it.
Hey, I like guys like this. When Burns was drafted, I remember a lot of people thought that was a bit of a reach.
It was a reach.
I mean, but you could the gifts were there, the
Oh
skills were
yeah.
there. They just needed to be directed and honed. So give me some chop, man. Give me a sided chop. I'd love it.
Yeah, I do I would be happy with him just because I do think he has those physical tools that could break out. I do worry that he was a physical specimen coming out of high school and he still hasn't put it together playing for Penn State,
Mhm.
which is a premier program.
Yeah.
So it does worry me a little bit, but yeah, I think you could. I would be very easily swayed to signing his paperwork.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, okay. So I know they've said best player available,
Mm-hmm.
right? To the extent that you believe that, I feel like you believe it more than I do, but I think best player available within reason. Like
Yeah,
here's
100.
our five positions that we want to kind of look at, but best
Yes.
player available within these guys. Yeah. So Edge would rank where for you on your like list of, let's say, four positions? Where would Edge rank in terms of need for the
Probably
Panthers?
2 or 3.
Okay. So wide receiver one.
I think wide receiver 1 just because this is the off season of Young,
Right.
because they're doing everything in their power to make him better. And as much as I like Deontay Johnson's signing, Adam Thielen's here, and Jonathan Mingo's coming into his second season, I think Johnson's here for 1 year. Thielen's getting long in the tooth. Mingo hasn't shown anything. Get another guy, especially in this type of draft where one of these receivers will most likely fall to you that has mid-range first-round talent just because of how
Right.
deep it is.
So edge number 2 or 3. What would maybe 2 be? Corner?
Corner.
Yeah.
Especially right now. J.C. Horn, starter, always injured. And
Yeah.
Troy Hill. I mean, again, Dane Johnson. I mean, none of these guys really. I like Troy Hill, but none of these guys I feel like will be long term answers. If J.C. Horn's healthy, yes, long term answer, but
Mm-hmm.
I can't trust him.
Yeah. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, before you said that, like, all right, we've got Horn and Gilmore starting. And then, like, for some reason, I've already got Gilmore in my head that he's going to be here. But, and maybe by the time you listen to this, he will be. But, yeah, with only Horn, really, corner might be my number 1.
And I get that.
Yeah, assuming they don't do anything else.
I get that.
Corner
Yeah.
would be 1, but wide receiver would be 1A or 2, very close. And then I think edge for me. So I would say
Yeah, I said 2-3. I think I
3.
talked myself into
Yeah.
doing 3-2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I
And
still think
then
wide receiver 1 for me, just because.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I said, 1A maybe for me, but tight end always kind of just top of the list for me, right? And then the list really starts, but just it's like the tight end list.
Tight end and
And then
kickers,
here's
man. That's all you're
yeah.
about. You like those glutes.
Hey, tight ends are very important. And when you have a good one, it's a luxury. So I don't know. I mean, going into the season with Tommy Tremble just doesn't excite me. We're going to talk about a tight end on one of our next 2 episodes.
All right. We want to thank everyone for listening. If you like the show, please let your friends know. Please follow us on Twitter at MeowMix Podcast. If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at mailbag@meowmixpodcast.com. If you leave us a 5-star review with a comment on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it on the show.
We'll be back. Sorry, something just kicked in. We'll be back. We'll be back soon to talk about some more draft profiles. Until then, everybody stay safe out there and keep pounding.
Eat your gummies safely, people.